sacred space. Thank you. Because this day, this time period, yeah. You can move back a little. Oops, I'm gonna. There's a certain configuration of planets, and it's also a certain time period. And this particular configuration of planets and this time period happens every 500 years, according to astrologers and astronomers, and it heralds the beginning of a renaissance. So this period, the exact time is tomorrow at what, noon? What did you say? Yeah. So the 5 days before and the 5 days after, around that, is called like a portal moment. I call it portals for mortals. So it's the code or the construction or the configuration that sets the frequency for the next renaissance or 500 years that this is heralding a time of creativity, openness, and that's what we'll be talking about. So it's a time, the reason they call it a day out of time, because it's a day that we can let go of our linear constructs and move beyond time and space, or that which has hypnotized us into maybe feeling whatever we want to expand into. So that which has held us into a certain configuration, this is the time to open up to a whole new way of being and to come together as dreamers, the team of co-creator dreamers, to receive the blessing of the portal from the creator beings, those that are bringing us these new frequencies, these higher frequencies. Because if they're not received and expressed through the dreamers, then we can have all the divine energy we want, but it's up to us to receive it and express it. So welcome, dreamers of the new world, of the new vision, of the new time, the new frequencies. So I thought it'd be powerful if we just went around and everybody said their name and just maybe, a couple words about how they're feeling or what they'd like it to open up to, or just a word that they want to, or a couple words they want to put into the field. It could be anything, but just to start to create kind of a co-creation and a co-connection feeling. So would you be willing to start, darling? And it can be just your name and one word.
Okay, fine.
It doesn't. You're not on stage. It's just about starting to connect the energies and get so we can all feel each other's hearts. So let's just go ahead before you start. Thanks. So let's just go ahead and just inhale and just lift up on your diaphragm. Just feel that, and lift your shoulders up and roll them back and down, and push your chin forward and then pull your head back so that your head is sitting on top of your spine and your whole heart chakra is now what you're experiencing the world through. So just breathe into that. Normally in this culture we're all kind of taught to push our heads forward, and that closes our heart chakra. So this is the new wave. I always say enlightenment is a posture. So shoulders up and back, lift up on the diaphragm. Breathe into the belly, bring the breath up to the third eye. Roll the eyes up, stimulating the third eye, the point between the eyebrows, the center of vision. The stabilizing point of creation. And breathe into your vision, and I'm going to share with you what the Mayans said about this point in time. The Mayans, thousands of years ago, or maybe right now they said it. They're saying it right now through us. We are the Mayans of the moment. This is what they call the encoding of this time period. It's called blue spectral hand. So keep breathing into that. It's called blue spectral hand. So like the hand. So while she's getting situated, we'll talk a little bit more about the posture of enlightenment. So if you roll the shoulders up and back and let them drop down, you'll notice, again, this brings the heart chakra open. And then your arms just automatically are open. So when you see any of the meditative beings, their palms are open. This is a blessing. When your palms are open, you're blessing the world with your heart energy, since the arms are extensions of the heart. So your heart energy flows down through your arms and out your palms, so you're blessing the world. You can breathe in. Focus on your third eye. And you can touch your thumb to your first finger. The thumb represents the ego. The first finger represents knowledge. It's called Gyan, knowledge. Gyan mudra, the mudra of knowledge. So this is when you know yourself. You have your inner knowledge. So just focus on that, breathing in, and setting the posture with each breath. So use your breath to set your posture, your code, your geometrical six-dimensional configuration with the breath. Use your breath to set your code, your frequency, your access point, so you're available for the knowledge, the Gyan that's flowing through us right now from the heavens, literally. Beautiful. Breathe into that. Set it by pulling your locks. Pull up and in, first three chakras. First chakra, second chakra, pull in on your belly, pull up on the diaphragm, pull back on the head. Block it in. And let it go, let it go. So as you're breathing into that field of your own inner divination, divining your own soul frequency and what you're here to dream into being today and for the next 500 years or more, no limits. I'm going to read you what the Mayans said about this time period. I dissolve in order to know, releasing healing. I seal the store of accomplishment with the spectral tone of liberation. I am guided by my own power doubled. Inhale and exhale. So I'm feeling to say those words just a few at a time, and maybe we could repeat them together. Does that feel good? Okay. So I dissolve in order to know, releasing healing. I seal the store of accomplishment with the spectral tone of liberation. I am guided by my own power doubled. And inhale, again, anchor in your posture of enlightenment, breathing in Opening up your heart chakra, lifting up on the diaphragm, focusing the third eye, pulling the root, stabilize. Let it go. And I'm feeling that we're already entering. We have already entered the field. So I think we'll do the names and decompression afterwards, because I'm feeling that we're already creating a vortex that's beyond. That's beyond. So I'm feeling just to go into that field. So I drew some pictures to illustrate the configuration of this time period. So I'm going to share some drawings, and then we'll share some more like that, some more postures that set the frequency, and then we'll have some music. So it's always good when we start out on a new journey to know where we're going, and since we're at the beginning of a 500-year journey, it'd be kind of nice to know where we're going, right? Sort of like a GPS moment for the next Renaissance. So we're going to anchor in the coordinates. And the coordinates of this next period of time are what I call the 10 dimensions. So we've all heard about the different dimensions, and so I drew out my understanding of what they are so we could know where we're going. And what I experience is, as the dreamers of this new time, the dimensions are, would you like to hold it, Sally? Yeah. The dimensions are tools. So in our toolbox. So it's good to know, okay, I need to work with, I need a little bit more first, when we're mixing up our potions for our new creations, something we want to create, I need a little bit more first dimension, I need a little bit more this or that. So the first dimension I experience to be the center core of Gaia, Mother Earth, where the crystalline frequency comes up and bubbles up to the surface. So this is the first dimension, the center of the Earth. It's called it's the magnetic core of the planet. So as the Kundalini is released and comes to the second dimension, which is the elemental kingdoms. So it comes up into the roots of trees, and you think of devas and fairies, anything that gives life. Then 3D, that's when it starts to come onto the surface of the planet. That's what we see. Everything around us we see as 3D. So in the third dimension, the observer really starts to change what's being seen, the interpretation of what's being seen. So in 3D, this is where we start adding consciousness, our conscious minds, our own power doubled in this time. So people that just have a certain linear viewpoint can, if they see things as right or wrong, good or bad, then that's called duality. It's people that are in a certain position, and that's what creates wars and struggle and all the things power over that we're trying to get out of. But we see, when we add our consciousness or awareness to 3D, then we move into Exhibit B here. We move into the awareness of polarity, night, day. So we see what the Hindus call Leela, the play of opposites. So we start with our awareness, we realize that all creation happens because of the play of opposites. So they said, the Hindus say that God lives in the laps of the maids and the maidens, that the play of God is in these laps of the gods, where they're just creating things, male, female. So then once the consciousness can start to see the world around us as the play of opposites and polarities, and you don't need to take a position, then you move into the fifth dimension, which is that experience of oneness, or the heart chakra. Now the consciousness can embrace the opposites and really enjoy the play of opposites, enjoy creation with that experience of oneness when the heart opens. And then the sixth dimension, so once the heart is open, then that's where we can start to connect. So who knows what the element for the heart chakra is? So each chakra has an element, and so who knows what's the element for the first chakra? Earth. And second chakra? Water. And third chakra? Fire. So when we get up to the fourth chakra, the element is what connects. What are we all doing right now that we could not possibly separate, breathe? So when we get up to the heart chakra, we have the air element. So it's that experience of, oh, I just thought of that person and they texted me. It's like where there is no separation. That's the element for the heart chakra. So when you're in love with someone and you're feeling each other, even though you may be thousands of miles away, you go beyond the limitation of time and space. So you move into an expansive state of being where you experience the connection. So once you can do that and move into this, then you can move into the sixth chakra, because that's where, once we can be open, we can start to interface with the universe, with creation, with the energy around us. So that's where we become co-creator beings, is the sixth dimension. So it's a mandala where we at our peace, and that's where you get divine inspiration and just have a feeling to do something or create music, where we're really dancing with the universe. So that's sixth dimension, is the dimension of co-creation. And then we move into the seventh dimension, and this is the seventh dimension is the frequency or sound current. So when you are connected with your own power doubled, then you can speak things into being. You know, you start to think about what you want. That's the whole power of intention and manifestation. So we like to use sacred sounds, like we have with us today, to create really pure sound frequencies. So it's really important when you're chanting or listening to Damien later, is that you're really a really open, clear space. And if there's something that you want to bring into being, you can think about it then, or otherwise just stay really focused on the sound, because this is a really powerful period of time to watch the play of your mind and direct it. So seventh dimension. Then eighth dimension, this is I call the mind of God, and this is again where when we start clearing our energy so that we're open and our love is flowing, then we can start connecting with higher thoughts like love, compassion, divine love, sharing. So there's a whole field called the unified field, which has a number of qualities. But this is where you get into the higher frequencies that really creates the world. And what the astrological configuration that says for us today is that when we move into the field of love, that's the field, it's in the field that actually holds the world together, is the vibration of love. And we'll talk more about that. But you start to get it, your mind becomes so pure that you're linked up with you're just like when you're around saints and sages, how they're just flowing with compassion, and they're always happy, and they're always, you always experience blessings in their presence. So they're channeling divine love. And then the ninth dimension, that's when we're getting direct information. So this is the Milky Way galaxy. And so our sun right here, which is lined up here with the mind, which comes down, is on the edge of the Milky Way galaxy. So what happened December 21st, 2012, according to the Mayans and many other people, is our sun lined up with the central sun of the Milky Way galaxy. So now we're no longer an outpost at the edge of the galaxy. We're getting direct information from source. The way we get source information is through our central sun, which is billions of times bigger than our sun. So we're getting direct source connection. So the Mayans call this whole period of time a 26,000-year elliptical orbit around the central sun. So we're back home. So this is, as you can see, this is a powerful time period. And then, now we're going to talk about what's exactly, well, we'll talk about what's happening now. I think we'll do a little bit about heart chakra first. Okay, I'll just show this. So, the time we were in, so has anybody heard about that we're going to have a pole shift? So we did, and that was December 21st, 2012. We had a polarity shift. So we did have a pole, but it was polarity, where, as I said, we were traveling for the last 13,000 years away from the central sun, and now we're coming back towards it. So we were literally being repelled, like go away, be individuals, discover who you are, don't connect with source unless you meditate in a cave for lifetimes. So it was a time of kind of just being left on our own, so to speak. So this is supposed to be a magnet. So now, with the polarity reversal, we're being asked to come home, come back to source, align with source. So things like people living in community to create harmony, grow food on the earth, all these things are really come back into harmony. So now we're in the attraction magnetic field. So that's why you'll notice that so much kind of awareness in how we can now co-create, communicate with everything around us. So that which, as I said, as you know, which holds the frequency of the world is the vibration of love. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Just want to hold it? Yeah. So this is the heart chakra, and this corresponds to the astrology that we're talking about today. So it's the double triangles. So in yogic terms, when we raise our lower triangle, our first three chakras, and connect it with the upper triangle, it connects at the heart. So we have the lower and the upper triangle. And when it connects at the heart, it starts to spin. And that spinning is what allows us to feel connected to others, to the universe. So we're actually opening up a vortex, an interdimensional vortex. So when you, again, love someone or, animals or whatever it happens to be, when you have a love for something, you open up the magnetic resonance, or as Esther and Jerry Hicks talk about, the law of attraction, but that's what it is. You have to really be spinning, that vortex has to be spinning so that there's enough light, again, so that your frequency or your light can connect with and attract the like light, the like light. The lights that like each other, I don't know. Okay, so that's the heart chakra. And the animal for the heart chakra is the deer because of its purity. And it's said that a deer loves pure sound. So it's the purity, the open-heartedness of the deer is the animal for the heart chakra. So that's the deer. And then we have the deities, and you can look at these closer later, or we can pass them around, but maybe just look at them more later. But the deities for the heart chakra, so here's the Shiva and the Shakti. So it's the 4 chakras. So she has 4 heads or 4 aspects looking in 4 directions, just like the Native American. So when they unite, in other words, at the heart chakra, when you're balanced with divine love, your male and female polarities are balanced, then what happens is the love is pure. It has a pure frequency, and then what creates is this white Lakshmi with the Shiva protecting her. So this is the archetype of the pure love, where the male and the female become balanced and can be raised to the level of the divine. So it's divine love. So we're going to go into the astrology now of this particular time, because that's a lot of information, but does anybody have any questions or comments before we go into the big one? You ready? 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 Yes, 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 yes. Ready for liftoff. Okay, so I'll let you hold it. So this is the painting I did yesterday so that I could understand the astrology and explain it to everybody. So can everybody see this? Maybe, I don't know if you want to walk around and show people maybe. Or you can see it? Okay. Okay, good. Okay, good. So as you see, we have, what chakra is this configuration? Heart chakra, right. So these represents, this configuration, as I said, is a very rare configuration of these planets. And this represents obviously the Earth, and that's the astrology of the planets around the Earth. So it's a connection of the outer planets and the inner planets. And there was something, oh, here it is. There's something I was looking at that I was just going to want to tell you. Which piece? So much information. But, oh, I know which piece it is. It's this one. Basically, the 2 planets that we're especially looking at are Neptune and Pluto. So when these planets join together, as they are here, according to this astrologer, he says that a cataclysmic upheaval begins, which leads to a time of transition and uncertainty, which again leads into a new dawn. So as we move into this period, obviously, it's not necessarily a smooth transition, like suddenly we move from the configuration we've had on the planet to like now everybody's enlightened. It's where we have to break down the institutions that no longer work, whether it's GMOs or 12 multinational corporations siphoning off all the money from everybody, or whatever it happens to be. Those have to be dissolved. And remember our first statement, I dissolve. Remember that? So certain things. So this time that we're in is a period of upheaval as we move into the next 500 years that we're creating. So what we have here is, continue to hold it. So we have 2 triangles, the inner and the outer planets, that again form this this harmonious aspect. So its conjunctions form this harmonious aspect around the Earth. And this star, which is 2 grand sextiles, creates this configuration. So it's 2 grand trines create 1 grand sextile. Sorry. So on one of the triangles, we have the moon over here, which is like the water, the emotions. And then we have at the top over here of this grand trine, we have Venus, which is the power of beauty. And then down here we have Pluto, which is transformation. And so with this configuration, we have the power of beauty and transformation with the power of love, the moon goddess, the feelings. So this period of time is like really going into our feelings, our feeling state, acknowledging that we're feeling beings, that we have a heart, that we have love. So we've got this, and then the outer triangle, we have up here, we have Mars and Jupiter right here. And they're trining with Neptune right here, and Saturn over here. So it's a lot of information, but what it basically, the first triangle basically means, as I said, with the power of beauty, Venus, I go into my innermost feelings and transform the world around me. So those are earth signs, so that represents the divine masculine or the stable pole. And then for the other triangle, which is the Mars, Neptune, Saturn, so Neptune's the dreamer, so we're at the beginning of Neptune's a slower moving outer planet. And Neptune's the mystic, and it represents spirituality and imagination, the sea and union. So it's a time of dreaming. So we have Neptune and Saturn. So Saturn's these are all water signs. So Saturn's in Scorpio, Neptune's in Pisces. And Saturn represents the material plane. So we want to, again, move out of these constricting forms. So Saturn represents forms into the more expensive and expansive, abundant forms, Neptunian, what forms we dream into being. And then with Mars and Jupiter at the top, which is up here, Mars is our energy to move forward, and Jupiter is that which expands us. So we want to move from the limitations of religious dogma to the expansion of spirituality, feeling spirit around us. So does anybody have any questions about that? I'm almost done, and then we're going to move a little bit and listen to music. So it's a lot of information, but it's important, right? Okay, good. So the last piece that I wanted to talk about is the form, this form. So it starts with the six-pointed star, sometimes called the Star of David. And so it moves into a grand sextile. So sextile means six-sided. So this form creates a six-sided energy around it, which is a crystalline shape. So everybody knows. I actually have a crystal in my bag, but everybody knows that a crystal is six-sided, right? So this holds the portal. What makes this a portal is that it's a six-sided shape with these heart chakra energies. So, and that morphs into a star tetrahedron, which is the basic building block of life. And it's that energy, and this is what I was talking about, love holding the universe together, that the energy from which all life is put together, the energy that bonds atoms, particles, and molecules, from nanoparticles to macroparticles, all together. And everything that exists in 3D, in the 3D world, is held together by tetrahedron bonds. So it's really love that holds things together. So if you think about whether it's a relationship or, I don't know, you love your plants, so you're watering your garden or whatever, it's that love, that devotion that really holds things together. So you can be with someone and be arguing or something, but if you're really speaking from your heart, so it's not an argument, but you're really sharing love, then you can make it through, whatever 3D issues we all encounter every day, all day, if there's a higher frequency that holds things together. But if not, then things dissolve. And they're not as fun anymore. They're a drag. So that's when we move into that experience of oneness. And so to let you know how rare this is, for these planets to line up like this, we have Neptune, which it takes 165. So we know the Earth is 1 year, is one revolution around the sun. Neptune, the mystic, 165 years. Pluto, 248 years. And Uranus, which is not on this chart, but it's 84 years. Uranus is the revolutionary. And the inner planets, those are really fast rotations. So we know the moon's about 30 days. Venus is 224 days, and Mars is 2.5 years. So for this configuration to occur is really rare. So, questions, comments? So what happened 500 years of history? Let's see. Okay, you can, I don't know, put it down if you want. If we go back, let's see here. The previous conjunction to the one of our time occurred in about 1400. That's the most recent one. At that time, the medieval society dominated by the church and the feudal order were disintegrating. The Renaissance. Despair and prophecies of doom spread across Europe, which was still recuperating from the Black Plague, Great Plague or Black Death. Powerful rulers struggled to unify their countries. So 100 years later, the Renaissance began in Florence in Italy in the 1400s, reached its climax, and the Middle Ages came to an end. Michelangelo created humanity's greatest work of art. Columbus opened up a whole new world. And another 500 years before that, 905, that's what began the medieval society. So we had, those are two examples that they give in this really long, beautiful, very in-depth explanation that I pulled off the internet. So if anybody wants to look at it later. So as I said, I've kind of been researching this for this class, and every time I, like going down the rabbit hole, I look deeper, I just found a whole new perspective from history, from astrology, from the Mayans, from the heart chakra, from the yogis, that this is a really significant period of time. So now, with all that information, I'd like to go around. You could say your name and maybe something as a co-creator, dreamer, that you'd like to dream into being for the world. It could be, anything. So just, if you can practice being a dreamer for a moment, just share as a co-creator. That's what I'd love to hear. So now you can do it. It's okay. Okay. Thank you, Estrella. So at the end, so rather than clapping during the rest of the time, I really like blessings. So maybe we can just send her some blessing and say thank you, Estrella. Thank you, Estrella. Beautiful. Thank you, Linda. Linda wants to bring peace into the planet. Thank you, Linda.
My name is Juanita. My name is Juanita, and I would like to bring love, peace to the world, to everybody. Especially the ones I love.
Linda would love to bring love and peace to the world, and especially to her inner circle world, the ones she loves. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Linda. Estrella, Linda, Juanita. This is like, I'm going on a trip and I'm taking I'm taking Juanita. Thank you, Juanita. Sorry.
My name is Saida, and I would like to bring strength and determination.
Syra would like to bring strength to determination. Thank you, Syra.
I'm Trish. I want everything, all of it, all the intensity, all the, the full spectrum of experience, and let it all come, all of it. That's what I want.
Trish wants to bring the full spectrum of experience, all of it. Let it come. Thank you, Trish.
My name is Haley, and I'd like to bring truth and feasibility into the world.
Haley would love to bring truth and feasibility into the world. Thank you, Haley.
My name is John, and I would like to bring nourishment on all levels and trust in the process for everyone.
I would like to bring nourishment for all levels and